Kelly, welcome. I'm John Kelly, and welcome to our show. Here today to discuss Artists for Disclosure with activist and UFO contactee Thomas Kortholm. Thomas, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you for making the time to be here.
Well, hello Canada. It's good to be on the show. I'm just gonna take this off and put on my earphones. Thank you for having me, John.
That's great. And so, Thomas, I was quite taken by learning of your work, not only as Artists for Disclosure, getting the disclosure issue in front of major audiences on websites like Rolling Stone, but you are also personally involved in contact issues, and you're out at night with your video camera taping UFOs flying over your home in Denmark. Can you tell us a little bit about Artists for Disclosure and the work that your group does?
Oh yes, I could do that. Artists for Disclosure is actually like kind of an offshoot of my work with the citizen hearing on disclosure that was held last year, or actually that's 2 years ago now, in 2013, from April 29th to May 3rd, where Paradigm Research Group and Stephen Bassett, they arranged for a hearing, like a mock-up congressional hearing, with the retired Congress members and senators in a hearing, and it was taped. And after that, they sent a call out for translators and supporters to help raise funds to produce these DVDs and send them to Capitol Hill. And that happened at November 5 last year in 2014, a couple of months ago. And we kind of went full speed ahead to try and support the social media storm that's also a part of this. Thousands and thousands of people are tweeting and emailing and posting on Facebook on the senators and Congress members' pages and Twitter, asking them to review the DVDs that they have received and meet with Steve Bassett. So that's kind of how it started, and it was something completely new to do this with the Artists for Disclosure. It's like I've been doing music promotion and have been a musician all my life, but this kind of campaign has been completely different from anything, and it kind of came. It was nothing I planned ahead, but when we started the tweet storm, I was thinking, how can we try to widen the reach of this idea and what we were doing, and that we wanted the Congress members and senators to hold new hearings, and it kind of thought, well, you know, if I could utilize some of the skills I have, you know, all the skills I have, not just trying to tweet as many times as possible, but really reach further. And I thought, well, I could ask some of the people on my hobby label. I have a small freelance label on Reverb Nation, if they wanted to join, and also I knew that some of them were positive about this, and actually one of them on the label is also a person I met, and we had an amazing contact experience together on Yarnu. That was in 2013 on September 7th, which kind of also marks the, how do you call it, public. Me going public, or us going public, saying we're doing this, and you know, talking about C5 and protocols and how to make positive and peaceful contact. So that's kind of how that all started, and thankfully a lot of the artists said yes. So including myself, I have an artist profile as well, and Stargazer, and Ned Branchy from Australia, Andy Starr from California, and we also have That Noise, who's also from California in Los Angeles, and they all agreed to let me use whatever free promotion trials and coupons and whatever we could, you know, gather on Reverb Nation, and we all had my son, and we entered a lot of Christmas competitions. And once won we won $20. A lot of people actually did that, but my son, my bonus son, rather, should say, won $20 and put them in my PayPal. So that's kind of like what's funding the ads and the free apps and all this stuff. So that's how we do it.
That's great. Would you care to tell us more? I'm a little mesmerized by your telling of the UFO contact incident that you just related had occurred. Could you tell us more about the nature of that contact and what happened?
Oh yes. Well, actually, I should start at the beginning. This all came. You know, I have had sightings or UFO experiences all my life. Since I was a kid, and not also shared ones, but not like a initiated contact. But when I've followed ufology and science and stuff all my life, and when the Sirius movie, you know, the movie by Dr. Greer, directed by Amadip Kaleva, yeah. When it was, you know, in the making and stuff about the Atacama humanoid and stuff, I kind of got really interested, so, you know, and I thought, well, maybe I should check some of these things out, and I decided to try and start meditating, doing the how do you call it, a guided meditation by Stephen Greer, and I did that for quite some time, and nothing really happened, but I was very pleased with the meditation itself, so I started going into looking into other ways of meditating, and but I kept doing the CE5 contact meditation, hoping that something would happen. And then the Sirius movie came out, and there was Citizen Hearing, and when I watched Sirius, I noticed that there was this man called this guy Costa Macris. I know you know who he is. You interviewed him. Who mentioned this website, or this how should you call it, loosely organized organization of people who's doing CE5 contact. And I thought, well, I should get in touch with him because that sounded really interesting. And I got in touch with Costa, and right from the start, he's been very helpful and nice. And I was kind of thinking, I think that was in May 2013, and at that time I was kind of thinking, well, you know, this is you just have to wait till you see the next one because it's not working. And then in June, I think, suddenly I was feeling like something's going on, you know, feeling like I was connecting, and walking outside, I suddenly had a sighting, and I tried, you know, doing the kind of, you know, are you there? Are you listening? Are you there? Okay, you know, change color, change direction, you know, just by using your mind, your consciousness. And there seemed to be some kind of response, and I was like, yay! Amazing. And the next thing that happened is that, of course, I tell my wife, and she's all, wow, that sounds interesting, you crazy fellow. And a few weeks later, we were walking the dogs, and coming out of a tunnel, I saw right away. Now they're here, and I look up, and our red friend is there, and I tell my wife, look up, and she goes, wow, it's true. And I thought, yeah, try to make it change direction or color, you know, in your mind, and it zigzags a bit. And then it faces out, and she's all like, wow, make them land. So, and that was kind of like, okay, I have to, you know, work on this. And Customer Chris and from ET Let's Talk, and also Dr. Joseph Burks, I don't know if you know him. He has a website called Contact Underground. He was one of the original founding members, I guess, or helping Dr. Greer with the C-SETI program all the way back from 92 to 98, I think, or something. So I got some pretty good feedback on our experiences, and through the ET Let's Talk community, we got in touch with the Stargazer. I will call him an amateur. He wants me to tell his name, but he's a musician from Germany and also has a lot of experience with signing experience and contact experiences. And he said that he would like to come and visit us here in Denmark. And we said yes, and he came and we had some really long and good talks. And then we went to Yarnø, which is a small island pretty close to where I live, because I had just been there 10 days earlier. I was on a camp with as a teacher. I was doing a practical in a production school, where I was teaching music and stuff. And we were camping for 3 days on Yarnø, and I took some of the students to the beach at night because the weather was totally beautiful, and we did a C5, and they also had a beautiful experience. So I thought that would be a nice place to go back. And we went there with Bastian, and we jammed and watched the starships, and had amazing experience. We had some orb pictures taken, which was pretty amazing because I did not believe in orbs at that time, but I've certainly changed my mind. And then kind of kicked off, I'm gonna do this on a regular basis, and really try to work with this and learn more. And right from the start, it was like I really want to learn more about this. It's a very deep and inner development part of this. It's very personal and deeply, how should you call it, spiritual thing. Feeling the connection inside, knowing that you're not alone, ever, somehow, But also, I had a strong, how do you call it? Most of all the guides and everything is in English or in foreign languages, and then and some of these things are not they just don't fit very well into Danish cultural context somehow. All the divinity stuff that's in a lot of it is not really it's not really Danish. We don't have that big Christ consciousness stuff. It's more relaxed. So that kind of because I wanted to share and I wanted to teach people, give them some good information that was had a context that was more based in our culture. So that's how it all started.
How do you frame this mysticism in terms of something that the Danish culture can deal with? What is mysticism, or how is it understood in Danish perspective?
Well, actually, I have a. It's kind of difficult for me to talk about all this spirituality stuff because I used to be what I would call a radical atheist, and now I've kind of changed I'm still an atheist, but I have a much bigger respect for religion, or how should I say, faith, but it depends very much on how you practice, I guess. But Danish people are very secular, in ways. Everybody's a member of the church, and everybody pays the church taxes, but most people just go there when they're baptized, when when they confirmed, when they get married, and when they get buried. So, so, so I'm, taking some of that out of all this stuff was kind of important to me. Also because it's difficult for me to share these very spiritual and religious stuff when it's not quite my point of view. I'm more, I guess I'm still more of a science guy somehow, but for me it's like you don't need to believe that nature is divine to find it miraculous.
Oh, very interesting. Well put.
Yes, yeah.
So as you say, this has advancing in these areas for you has presented challenges, philosophical and other challenges have emerged. This hasn't all just been a cakewalk for you. You're growing and developing through this as well.
Oh, very much so, because also now you mentioned ethics yourself, because right from the start, first it's like it was kind of like a rush, and then you go, but hang on, wait a minute, what does all this mean, and if you're doing some form of remote viewing or something, maybe you could remote view your neighbor taking a shower, stuff like that, Yeah, well, that's and that
we have the NSA for that.
Yeah, exactly. But that made me think a lot about protocols, ethics, how you do this, and right away I decided, I would only practice contact meditation, and then normal meditation. I don't know how to explain this, but it was, I only train these skills trying to make contact or making peaceful meditations. I'm very fond of doing synchronized meditations, like peace meditations and stuff in big groups, because it can feel very good when you connect to the energy of a lot of people meditating. But it was always, and I was thinking a lot about the ethics. How do you do this, And so it's like you have to do it without fear. You have to do it openly. You have to. It's hard to explain, but you have to shed all fears and anxieties and have a very positive and open and peaceful, how should I call, state of mind. Because well, there's various reasons, but when people talk about, this what type of extraterrestrial entities or whatever you make contact with, the idea is only to contact positive, benevolent ETs. Some people say that's the only kind there is. I'm not so sure, but I think the best way to, I should say, practice that is also to do it without fear or without, in a peaceful, calm and fearless way. And that's also the response you're supposed to get. So if you start feeling uncomfortable or whatever, you just stop and go back, because that's also your kind of your, how should I say, protection. Having a high standard of ethics somehow. And I also think when people, they often talk about, I felt the presence of a being and I felt very loved, and I think that's the feeling you will get if you are in contact with a benevolent being with very high ethics. Because if you think about the ethics involved in being telepathic, for instance, how do you handle that as a species? If everybody can hear each other's thoughts, Well, I think there's two ways, Either you develop your ethics and all your whole mindset, and you become good. And the feeling of being in contact with a being that has very pure thoughts like that could be like the feeling that people get on being loved, because it's. But I think that's just it must be some consequence of the evolvement that happens, and then you could also say, well, if you can't shed your feelings, all the like the human, all the bad stuff, you could take another direction, saying you would be directed by logic, by pure logic, and that's also, from a standpoint of a human being, that could be interpreted like an evil alien. You understand? Because we would not understand the logic driving a kind of higher being. So if they were doing some kind of experimentation, abductions, whatever, like we do with lab rats, and justify by our kind of logic, I think it's still a stretch to say that they're evil. So.
Well, I'm hearing clearly that you are differentiating between notions of good and evil, and that you are suggesting that there's a need for an ethical framework within which these types of evolutionary, or even perhaps revolutionary contacts are taking place. Now, everybody knows that the CIA has been wanted on charges of kidnapping people and taking them to torture prisons. So illegal renditions and torture are things that people do to people already, and it's state-sponsored. Governments kidnap people and torture them is a matter of public knowledge. It's not hidden. So this whole demonization, in other words, of other cultures, where we're suggesting the possibility, or we are infatuated with the notion that sort of this devilish behavior is being done by other beings. This really goes back into our empire-building colonial society, where in North America the indigenous people were demonized, and it was said that they had no souls, they were less than human, and therefore we can take all their land and resources because they're not human. So these are important watch signs as a person enters into these venues of contact and understanding the cultural legacy where we come from, our history, which is indelible, coloring our perceptions, and we must be careful in our measurements and assessments not to oversubscribe, particularly to initiatives that have brought a lot of catastrophe to a lot of people. There's not we don't have to recreate some of the worst parts of our history in endeavoring to grow in terms of contact with extraterrestrials.
Absolutely not. But I also like to stress that I think this may sound really crazy, but people should understand that when they do these kinds of conscious-based contact attempts, that they could be making first contact. So, of course, there should be, good, high standards of protocol and ethics and because it's also kind of like a diplomatic mission. So when you do this, do it in a calm and relaxed way. We have never used laser pointers or anything like that for our outdoors, how do you call them, night watches, sky watches, because from the beginning I thought it was kind of strange that this is not necessary. You can still have good contact without the lasers. And I was also thinking, well, I was seeing some video of people, seeing this orb on the beach, and everybody started, kind of, pointing it out with the laser, and everybody started running, and of course it went away. And I was thinking, like, wow, man, this being, this entity came to Earth for the first time, and what happens? Well, it gets attacked by a laser, and everybody attacks. Let me get away, So that it's just a way of saying it. So, but be very, very calm and relaxed and friendly and open and loving and caring, compassionate. You know.
I hear you saying there's some inherent dignity in these moments of contact, and that
Oh yes.
we can participate to preserve that dignity.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And I also people often ask, or when you're watching some great stuff, often on YouTube, with people sharing their experiences in the videos, and they put music. And everybody goes, oh, that's crappy music. Why do you have to put the music and blah, blah, blah? Well, because some of these experiences are very, very emotional, and people cry out, and people cry, and are very emotional. So often they don't feel comfortable sharing this totally public, And I'm the same way. I have things I share privately as well, because it can't be misconstrued, Sometimes it sounds like you're having sex.
So the notion of intimacy arises, particularly as you've cited the telepathic context, which transcend physical boundaries.
Okay, yeah. What I'm referring to is what some people would a lot of people have experienced. It was some people describe it as a chakra orgasm to me, and this is a very, very accurate way of describing some of these feelings, pure bliss or ecstasy. And of course, you can hear that, and you're not comfortable sharing a video of something, and it sounds like you're getting a blowjob or something. You know what I mean? That's a very private thing. So
this relates to notions of vulnerability.
Oh yes.
And as you said, what are people's boundaries? Not only ethical considerations, but cultural boundaries and taboos, in terms of perceptions. Do we wish to be seen in public in our most vulnerable moments? And particularly, one further extrapolation is related to notions of control. In other words, when we feel that we are no longer in control of our person, of our emotions, of our energies, do we even understand ourselves? We are seeing ourselves or witnessing ourselves in a different context, a different framework, different behaviors. We may not be familiar with this. This may be the first time, and so the notions of the state.
But the thing is, when you go into a state like that, the ego is gone. So you don't realize what you sound like, what you look like, whatever, because you're not, your ego is not concerned with all these kind of things. But then when you're not, this is not a state you're in all the time. But when you come back and if you've been video filming yourself or whatever, and you see this, then you realize you can't share that because it's too intimate somehow, and also the enormous amount of ridicule and weirdo stuff in ufology, and it's that you don't want to as you say, you get vulnerable to, well, maybe not attack, but you will have to spend a lot of time defending yourself, and that takes away a lot of energy. So people, put music.
Yeah, so people. So I'm clear what you're saying, that people will substitute the live soundtrack for a music soundtrack to protect the identity of the witnesses, protect the vulnerability and the sanctity of what is personal for those individuals that may not be suitable for. Not everything is suitable for broadcast, and so these are very personal decisions. I can relate to what you're saying. I feel in some way that you've watched some of my videos and read the comments, because I certainly received substantial criticism for my insistence on exercising whatever music I can summon. Certainly not everyone enjoys my decisions in those areas, but I think all of these points are very important. What you're raising, in your sharing today, what you are talking about are what it's like to be involved in these experiences, and that you are making conscious decisions and they are philosophical questions. You're an educated. You've got a background in social education.
Yes.
There are philosophical, ethical, and other considerations that occur in the mind of the participant during these
Yes.
events, and this is modeling. If we can anticipate, much like the CIA, who during the Robertson panel era said that the contact and sightings are going to happen in the future. This isn't slowing down. This is a growth area. This is an emerging trend. This is not something that's at the tail end. So if we can anticipate that this will become greater and greater, more people will be given this opportunity to reflect, to say, what is it about myself that these circumstances are teaching me? Perhaps some entity, some extraterrestrial entity knows me better than I know myself in these ways.
Oh yes, probably. That's not impossible. I would like to add. I'm still not kind of undecided if this is just kind of some kind of natural phenomenon. Well, it is. Whatever way, from the start we said, well, if this is somehow the sun messing with our, with our nervous system or something, we're still gonna look forward to the next sun peak and do this all again. But it's true. It is something that more and more people will experience, I guess. My feeling is that this is a part of natural evolution. Kind of a Darwinistic view in some ways, but just this is something that natural evolution that we're going through. We are at a point where more and more people we're at a threshold of getting to the next level, and this is a natural evolution of sorts. You can maybe try and slow it down. You talk about CIA and all this stuff, and then certainly there's a lot of possibilities to delay the development of these things, and disclosure and everything can be slowed down, but I don't think it can be stopped. It might take longer, but I don't know. You have to of course be really, really pessimistic and think that maybe war or whatever could eliminate the human race. But I'm actually not that pessimistic. People always say, "Oh, we're going to destroy ourselves," and I'm like, we're really resilient, and so is nature. So if we mess it up really badly and a couple of billion or 5 dies or 6.5, there will still be plenty of human and nature left to repair itself. And if we are gone completely, it will only take a couple of million years, and Earth is back and ready for the next species to develop consciousness. So I don't know. Of course, it would be catastrophe for humankind, but I'm not sure it would be catastrophe for Earth. So. Well, I don't know. How much time have you been spending, John?
We're past the half hour that we had originally scheduled, but okay. I've enjoyed so much what you have to say. I would just reflect that, based on what you've just shared, that this notion of stopping disclosure would almost be like an attempt to stop history itself.
Oh yes. So.
Well, why don't we go into
time waits for no man, and the future will be revealed. That's.
I entirely advocate, with the limited lifespans that we have, I don't plan to be here for thousands of years as John Kelly, and so in my lifetime I hope to accomplish a great deal, and I will not hesitate to pursue objectives like the ones you're describing.
Yes, I wonder, should we just round this up?
I'd like you to take us to the website, if you will, now, for Artists for Disclosure. Share with us what's on that site. Let's have a look. Do our screen share.
Okay, let's see if I can. If I can do that screen share. Are we there? Yes, we are.
Yeah, it's just coming up now. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to go here, and yeah, this is the what do you call it? Artist profile. I made it on Reverb Nation. This is dedicated only to Artists for Disclosure and the campaign. And here's music from all the the artists, including myself. You can get a free special disclosure app for your Android. And yeah, it's there's music videos and the press release. You see the press here. This will be updated with more stuff. Next thing will be my appearance or our appearance at your show, I guess. and it all has direct links to our blog. We have a blog as well. Oh, I have a Danish blog, but I made a blog spot for this. I don't know if you can see that.
Yep.
Okay, and oops. Yeah. And then there's, of course, direct links to the where you can sign the disclosure petition 7. Everybody sign! Oh, 1,298. So we have 98,702 to go. Sign, everybody, sign. Yeah.
All right, that looks excellent. So we'll have links out from newsinside.com. We'll have links out to all of these sites. People can go and visit you.
I'm going to stop sharing so people can see me.
Yeah,
okay.
So
yes.
This interview will be featured on newsinside.com. Thomas Kortholm, artist for disclosure, UFO contactee. I really appreciate that you made the time to share your stories and to tell us about the great work that your activist group is doing. And I wish you great success with your contact and discovery. And I hope that we will stay in touch and I can continue to learn from your experiences and those of your colleagues.
Okay. And thank you very much for having me. And I would like to add that this is my first interview of this kind. I'm not it's usually about music or something else. So I really appreciate you being so open and nice to me. And thank you. And goodbye, Canada and everybody else. We'll see you again.